All right, so let's get the normal first class day stuff out of the way, and let's take a look at the course syllabus. So you should be able to find that in the Blackboard shell. All right, so you can find that in the Start Here folder. Cool. All right, so here is the course syllabus. And I'm going to go ahead and download that. All right, this is Computer Science 1336. This is Programming Fundamentals 1. This is the first course in C++, using the C++ programming language. We have kind of a three-course sequence, programming fundamentals sequence here. And all three courses are in C++, and all three courses use the same book. So you only have to buy one book for the whole thing. So don't worry, we're not going to cover this whole book this semester. All right, my name is Will McWhorter. I'm a full-time computer science faculty member here at the college. I've had most of you in class before, but there's a couple that I haven't. So real quick, it's my backstory and history. I grew up in Quitman, Texas, which is about an hour away from here, and went to college at Texas A&M University of Commerce. It was East Texas State University back then, and got a bachelor's degree in mathematics with a computer science minor, and then a couple of years later I went back for my master's degree. By that time it was A&M Commerce, Texas A&M University of Commerce, and got a master's degree in computer science from Commerce. And then actually right after that I got a job as an instructor there at A&M Commerce as well, and I taught computer science there at the university for 11 years. And also during that time I started working on my PhD degree, my doctorate degree over at the University of North Texas, and I finished that in 2008. And then right after that was a busy time. Right after that I got married and started a new job up at a university in Oklahoma, at East Central University in Oklahoma, in Ada, Oklahoma. And we were up there for a year. We thought we'd probably be up there for a little while longer, but then this job came open, and so I applied for this job here in TCC, and I've been here since 2010. And we moved back to Quitman, where I grew up, and so that's where we're living now. We have 3 kids. I've got a 8-year-old, soon to be 9-year-old daughter, a 5-year-old daughter, and a 3-year-old son. So they keep us busy and keep life interesting. So I teach a variety of courses. I teach all the programming courses, but I teach some networking courses and a security class as well. I wear a lot of different hats and juggle a lot of things. So anyway, my office is over in the Math Science building, in office 114. There's my phone number there and my email address. Probably the best way to get in touch with me is through email, but you can always stop by during my office hours, which are there in the syllabus as well. This semester I have all afternoon classes, so I'm in my office during the mornings. So from 9 to 11 I'll be in my office, and probably a little bit before this class as well. And then after this class you can always talk to me as well. Let's see. Course description. So this is the general course description. In this course, and this is kind of generic, right? So we're going to introduce fundamental concepts of structured programming and provide a comprehensive introduction to programming for computer science and technology majors. Topics include software development, methodology, data types, control structures, functions, arrays, and the mechanics of running, testing, and debugging. Right? This course assumes a certain amount of computer literacy, and this is included in the field of study for computer science majors. Here's the main course objectives for the course. Describe. So at the end of the semester, students should be able to do these things. Describe how data are represented, manipulated, and stored in a computer. Categorize different programming languages and their uses. Understand and use the fundamental concepts of data types, structured programming, algorithmic design, and user interface design. Demonstrate a fundamental understanding of software development methodologies, including modular design, pseudocode, flowcharting, structured charts, data types, control structures, functions, and arrays. Develop projects that utilize logical algorithms from specifications and requirement statements. Demonstrate appropriate design, coding, testing, and documenting of computer programs. And implement project specifications and requirements. And apply computer programming concepts to new problems or situations. As far as grades go, these are kind of the different categories of assignments and things that you'll have grades on. There'll be programming assignments. So I usually have about 4 programming assignments in this course, and each one kind of incorporates the things that we've been talking about, recently and that point, up to that point. Each student is required to complete their own computer program and program code. You can help each other as far as like trying to figure out errors and things like that, but each student has to do their own program. No sharing of files and changing file names and turning in someone else's code or something like that. So don't do that. Chapter quizzes. So there'll be a quiz over each chapter that we cover, and actually on the functions chapter, there's a lot in that chapter. I think that's chapter 6. There's so much in that chapter that I actually have 2 quizzes on that chapter. And so quizzes are 25% as well as programming assignments. And then there's a midterm exam and a final exam. So the midterm and final exams have 2 parts to them. The first part is multiple choice questions. And they're similar to the quizzes. So the quizzes are multiple choice questions. But then there's also a programming part on the midterm and final exams where you actually have to write some code. And I usually do those 2 parts on 2 different days, because I know people work at different paces and stuff like that. So, and then the other part, and each one of those is 20%. And then class participation, maybe some practice assignments or review questions. That's 10%. We'll do some example programs together in class, and so the best way to learn this stuff is to get practice and to actually get in there and do the coding yourself. So we'll do some of those things together. All right, the book is this. So this is C++ programming, program design including data structures by D.S. Malik. This is actually the 8th edition of it, and like I said, we won't cover the whole book in this class or anything. So we'll cover probably through chapter 8 in here. All right, so arrays and strings, that's about as far as we'll get. And then in Programming Fundamentals 2, that gets into obviously the second, the chapters after that. And then Programming Fundamentals 3 is often called Data Structures. This is the Data Structures course. it gets into some of the more advanced concepts, like starting around chapter 15, topics like recursion, stacks and queues, and linked lists, and things like that. Yep. All right. A few other things. This is a hybrid course, this particular section this semester. We're doing this as a hybrid, so it's half face-to-face, half online. Okay? So don't expect to come to class and be able to not do anything outside of class, or be required to do anything outside of class. So like I said, I've recorded a lot of videos from in previous semesters, and I've got those up. So a lot of times I'll probably say, I want you to watch this certain video for next week. Make sure that you do that before you come into class, so that you know what we're going to do. I'm thinking I'd like to do more of the hands-on type of exercises and stuff in class, and have you guys watch some of the lecture stuff outside of class. One thing that you'll need for this course is a C++ compiler program. So we'll talk more about this, what a compiler does, but the short version is the compiler is and this IDE is the program that you're going to use to type up all your source code, and then you'll compile it, which basically translates or converts your C++ code into machine code that the computer can run, and you can run it through there. So the one that I like to use a lot of times in this course is called Dev C++. It's free to use and to download. I've even got the install file in the Blackboard shell, I believe. There's also another one called Code Blocks that I've used sometimes in the past. So in some of the videos, I might be using Code Blocks. They don't have I don't think there's a version of Dev C++ for Macs. Do I have any Mac users in here? No? Okay, cool. Well, a couple of years ago, I had like 5 Mac users or something like that. So, if for the Mac users, since they don't make Dev C++, a good option is that Code Blocks compiler, because they make a version of Code Blocks for Mac. They make one for Windows. I think they even have a version for Linux that you can use. So, but I like Dev C++ a lot, especially for this course, because it's pretty straightforward, and it's you don't have to spend a lot of time learning the tool, how to use the software tool, in addition to learning how to program in C++. So that's one thing that's nice about it. All right. Let's see. I probably talked about all these things already. So yes, this is a hybrid course. So it's half online, half face-to-face. So make sure that you devote enough time to get all the stuff done, obviously. You need to have a good, dependable computer, right? To be able to do stuff. In class we have these lab computers here, which you're totally welcome to use for anything. But again, since this is half online as well, you'll need a good, dependable computer to use. And we also have the computer lab over in the library, the LRC, that you can use as well. I think they have the compiler over there. If not, please let me know, and we'll get it fixed. We'll get the machines over there fixed up. You might want to probably be a good idea to have a USB flash drive for storing files and moving files around if you use different computers. You can also use cloud storage like OneDrive or Google Drive to store files. Headphones, it's a good idea for listening to lectures and stuff. Other things, do your absolute best to get things turned in on time. I've got a policy in here about you might get a 10% late penalty for late assignments, and get things turned in a reasonable amount of time and by the due date, right? Don't come to the end of the semester and expect to be able to turn in program 1 at the end of the semester or something like that. That's not fair to the other students in the class. Right. Again, like I mentioned earlier, everybody's got to do their own work. So if I get assignments, especially program assignments that are identical in nature, that the code is obviously the same and the file's just been copied, both people will get zeros. So don't do that. Do your own program. Don't copy someone else's file, and don't give someone else your files. Okay? Like I said, it's okay to help each other with errors and to try to figure out what's wrong, but don't just swap files. That's cheating. All right, and like I said, if you have questions outside of class, the best way to get in touch with me is through email, and I'll do my absolute best to get back to you within 24 hours. If it's on the weekend, it might be maybe a little bit longer, 48 hours, but I usually check my email really often. Other course policies, you need to be here in class. Especially since this is a hybrid, we only meet once a week. And so if you miss that one Thursday or that one day for that week, you've missed the whole week of in-class meetings. So make sure that you're here in class. Put your phones on silent during class. And and if you end up having to drop, make sure that you pay attention to the drop deadline and you drop before that. Other things, this is mostly just college-wide types of things. If you have a documented disability, let me know, or get an advisor or whoever to send me information if you need special accommodations. And then FERPA, that's about your privacy rights as a student. So I'm not allowed to share information about you, including your grades and how you did on tests or anything like that with anybody else without your permission, and that includes your parents as well, unless you've given permission for that to happen. All right, here's a kind of a schedule, a tentative timeline for the semester, so you can see a few of the topics that we'll be covering and kind of when we're going to be doing stuff or when we plan on doing stuff. So today we're going to take a look at Chapter 1, just kind of an overview of computers and programming languages. And then next week we'll be looking at Chapter 2, which is one of the most important chapters in the whole book. If you don't understand the stuff from Chapter 2, the basic elements of C++, you're going to be in trouble for the rest of the semester. So it's very important. And then from there we learn a little bit more about input and output, and then Chapters 4 and 5 get us into the world of control structures. So that's like selection structures, or like if statements and switch statements. Then we'll get into repetition structures, which are loops. So we'll talk about while loops and for loops and do while loops. And then we'll start talking about functions. So a function is a way of splitting up your program into different modules, different kind of self-contained modules. And so we'll get into that, and there's several concepts that go along with that. And then we'll have the midterm exam before spring break. And then after spring break, we'll continue with functions, and then we'll start talking about things like arrays, one-dimensional arrays and two-dimensional arrays, and strings, and parallel arrays, and then at the end of the semester, if we have a little time, sometimes I like to talk about or give an introduction at least to some concepts like searching and sorting of arrays, if we have time. So all right, and then the final exam. So that's the plan on that. Back in the course shell real quick, if you just want to, you may have looked around the course shell already, but there's a folder for programming assignments, so you can see the main programming assignments that we're going to be doing this semester. I haven't updated the due dates yet, but I'll be doing that. There's quizzes. Let me think about how we're going to do the quizzes. And face-to-face, when I do this as a face-to-face class, I require that you have to take the quizzes in class. This is a hybrid section, so let me think about how I want to do that. And then all the PowerPoint presentations are there, so you can download those. I have them separate files here, or you can just download this one zip file and it'll download all of them. You have to unzip the zip file after you download it. I've got a folder that says program examples. So these are examples that we've done in previous semesters, and a lot of these we'll be doing together in class, but you can always take a look at that. The Orwell Dev C++ compiler, this is the install file for the compiler, so you can download that and then you run it. It's an exe, so there's a chance that your antivirus software may question whether or not it's safe, but it's safe. It's cool. So just heads up about that. And then homework activities. I've got some things in there, but you don't need to start doing any of those things yet in class. We may or may not do those. We'll see how we're doing on time. Oh, and then I have a videos folder. So I have a lot of the lecture videos from previous semesters up here. Some of these things we'll be doing in class, like some of the example programs that I have here we'll be doing together. I have a video on how to download and install code blocks for Mac and Windows. But like I said, all you guys in here said you're Windows users, so I think we'll just probably stick with the Dev C++ compiler. I like it a lot. All right, and so that's kind of a tour of the shell, Blackboard shell.